5 years after Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace on Mother's Day, the silence has been shattered once again. Her name had nearly faded from headlines, buried beneath legal missteps, unanswered questions, and a family torn in two. But just when the world thought the case had gone cold forever, a shallow grave in the Colorado wilderness revealed the truth. And now, Barry Morphew, the man who once stood weeping before cameras, is back in handcuffs. He says he's innocent. His daughters believe him. But the new indictment tells a chilling story. Tranquilizer drugs, digital footprints, and a grave in a place only he knew. This isn't just a reopening of a murder case. It's the resurrection of a mother's voice that was nearly silenced forever. So stay with me, because what you're about to hear will chill you to your core. This is not fiction. These are the facts. And the final chapter? It hasn't been written yet. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're diving deep into the true crime stories that others are afraid to touch. Welcome to Cold Crime Diaries. It was the morning of May 10th, 2020, Mother's Day. The sun crept slowly over the Rocky Mountains in Chaffee County, Colorado. Suzanne Morphew, 49, a mother of two and former schoolteacher, supposedly left her home that morning for a bike ride. The details that follow would ignite one of the most bewildering and emotionally charged true crime sagas in modern Colorado history. Her bike was later discovered at the bottom of a ravine near her Salida home, intact, not crashed, just eerily placed. Hours passed, then days. No sign of Suzanne. Not a call, not a body. Just a family reeling in a quiet horror, and a husband who publicly begged for her return. Barry Morphew, her husband of 26 years, released a tearful video pleading for his wife's safe return. If anyone is out there that can hear this, please, we'll do whatever it takes to bring you back. To the public, he appeared devastated. But to investigators, things didn't add up. And behind the veil of grief was a trail of inconsistencies that would unravel across the next 5 years. Suzanne's disappearance triggered one of the largest search efforts in Colorado history. Dive teams, helicopters, cadaver dogs. They found nothing but what investigators couldn't find in the wilderness. They started to find in technology. Barry's phone data showed odd activity. He had traveled early on Mother's Day, had turned his phone to airplane mode at suspicious intervals, and made multiple trash stops in Broomfield, some 150 miles away from their home. Surveillance footage showed him disposing of items at various locations, and his reasons were vague. More troubling were Suzanne's private messages uncovered during the digital search. She had confided in a friend that her marriage was collapsing. She mentioned Barry's controlling nature and her fear that he might hurt her. He's not acting normal. One message read, "He knows. I think he knows." In May 2021, 1 year after Suzanne's disappearance, Barry Morphew was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, tampering with a body, and attempting to influence a public servant. The prosecution's theory was jarring. Barry, suspecting his wife was planning to leave him, used a tranquilizer to subdue her, killed her, and disposed of her body in an unknown location. Investigators had found the cap of a tranquilizer dart in the Morphew family dryer, and later confirmed Barry had access to a BM drug cocktail, butorphanol, azaparone, and medetomidine, typically used to sedate large animals. The presence of this cocktail in the house, combined with deleted web searches and surveillance inconsistencies, painted a picture of premeditation. But there was no body, no confession, no murder weapon. And just days before the trial was to begin in April 2022, everything fell apart. The charges were dropped. The dismissal wasn't due to lack of suspicion. It was due to prosecutorial error. The district attorney's office, led by Linda Stanley, had failed to turn over crucial evidence to defense, including unidentified male DNA found in Suzanne's SUV. The judge ruled the state had violated discovery obligations and tossed the case without prejudice, meaning it could be refiled if more evidence was found. The public reaction was furious and divided. Some believed Berry was a victim of overzealous prosecution. Others were convinced he had slipped through a broken system. Linda Stanley was later disciplined and ultimately disbarred. Meanwhile, Berry walked free. With charges dropped, Berry turned his attention to the system that had arrested him. In 2023, he filed a $15 million federal lawsuit against multiple law enforcement agencies and prosecutors, accusing them of malicious prosecution, unlawful arrest, and constitutional violations. His attorneys claimed the entire case had been built on a flawed theory and that law enforcement ignored the unidentified DNA and tunnel vision on Berry. Then, something unexpected happened. In September 2023, search crews conducting an unrelated operation stumbled upon human remains in Saguache County, a rugged, remote area west of Salida. Dental records confirmed the worst. After 3 years of mystery, Suzanne Morphew had been found. She had been buried in a shallow grave, wrapped in a tarp, deep in terrain only accessible by foot or all-terrain vehicles. Investigators had previously combed the area but missed it. The discovery re-energized the case. Suzanne had not vanished. She had been silenced and buried. The autopsy revealed no signs of blunt force trauma, gunshots, or stabbing. But toxicology indicated something else. Potential exposure to sedatives consistent with a BAM cocktail. It was the breakthrough prosecutors needed. Months passed quietly. Behind the scenes, a new district attorney gathered a fresh team of investigators and experts. A grand jury was quietly convened in June 2025. On June 18, 2025, the grand jury returned an indictment for first-degree murder. On June 20th, Berry Morphew was arrested again, this time in Gilbert, Arizona, where he had been living since the dropped charges. The new indictment was airtight and more focused. The BAM tranquilizer theory wasn't just a hypothesis anymore. It was grounded in evidence. Chemical traces in Suzanne's remains, tranquilizer equipment in Berry's home, prescription records linking him to the drugs, and his phone and GPS data showing suspicious movement on the day Suzanne vanished. His 2020 alibi fell apart further. He had told investigators he left early for a job in Broomfield and stayed at a hotel. But security footage showed him making repeated, late-night trips to his truck, loading and unloading items, and disposing of bags in at least 5 different locations. Investigators recovered nothing from those sites, but combined with the tranquilizer evidence in the new burial location, the image was damning. The location of Suzanne's grave was key. It was deep in a forested area where Berry had worked in the past. Cell tower data placed his phone near the location days after Suzanne's disappearance. And it was a place only a local or someone intimately familiar with the terrain could reach without attracting attention. In the indictment, the prosecution noted that Suzanne's body had been buried with care, not discarded. That, they claimed, showed an attempt to conceal, not a random act of violence. Berry, they argued, had planned this. Still, Berry's daughters, Mallory and Macy, stood by him. They released a public statement calling the renewed charges a smear campaign and claimed their father was being persecuted, not prosecuted. They continued to insist on his innocence, questioning why authorities had failed to follow up on the male DNA found in Suzanne's SUV. But investigators addressed that this time. They said the DNA could have come from incidental contact, such as a mechanic or someone who had touched the vehicle months earlier. It did not match Berry, but also didn't match anyone with known contact with Suzanne in the days before she vanished. Berry was extradited back to Colorado under tight security. When he arrived, he was met with cameras, protesters, and an avalanche of media coverage. The small courtroom in Alamosa County was filled with tension. There would be no bail this time. The judge ordered him held pending trial. And yet, despite all the new findings, the prosecution still faces a steep climb. There is no eyewitness, no recorded confession, no direct evidence of the act of murder itself. Just a chain of forensic data, circumstantial clues, and motive grounded in emotional control and looming separation. But this time they have a body, they have a location, and they have time to do it right. The case has become more than a criminal proceeding. It's a test of trust in the justice system. It's a saga of how obsession, power, and fear can collapse a family. It's a warning about what silence can conceal. As Barry Morphew awaits trial in a Colorado jail, a nation waits with him. Will the justice system redeem itself after its first failure? Will Suzanne Morphew finally have her voice heard in full? Or will the man accused twice of silencing her walk free again? The answers are coming. But not yet, not today, because the trial hasn't started. And this story is far from over.